next guy up, 47 years in practice from Palmer. Graduated from Palmer. He's a Jersey boy, though. Help me welcome Tony Panzica. Come on.
Yeah.
So that's a song I wrote. I'm going to tell you a little bit about why that song came about in my talk, and so that's why I played it. Since it's baseball season, did anybody see the end of the Mets game? Did they win or lose? Okay. So anyway, I got a baseball question for you. So a baseball player, beginning of the season, he's batting .320. He has 1 error in 72 games. Second part of the season, he's batting .220. He's got 12 errors in 57 games. What's the difference?
Attitude.
Mental. It was all mental. He wasn't hurt or anything. Yogi Berra, I don't know if you know Yogiisms, but he said 90% of baseball is mental. And he goes, the other 50% is physical. So that's Yogi for you. So when my son was younger, I bought this book, and I was coaching him with this book, The Mental Game of Baseball. And basically, it's a D.E. Sid Williams book, and it tells these kids, if you make an error, the thing you typically do is you replay that error, but you're not supposed to. You're supposed to replay that without an error, so that it's in your head. He said, if you're up against an ace pitcher, right? He's not an ace pitcher. He's a man with a ball. You're a man with the bat. Your job is to touch that bat to that ball. It makes it real simple, and it takes out the frustration or the anxiousness, which is the mental part of it. So there's a mental game of chiropractic too. It's how we think, how we perceive, and how we act. So when COVID came around, I remember this distinctly. I remember saying to myself, I have to be careful how I perceive this. And what I did is I said, the world is closing down, but you know what? People are sick, and they're sicker, and they're going to need me more. And I did some research about the Spanish flu in the 1800s, when it was 1 in 15 people died with the Spanish flu. However, people who were under care at BJ's clinic, it was 1 in 789 people. 1 in 15, 1 in 789. So that was it for me. It was like, we're open, and you know what? 3 chiropractors around me closed, and they were sending me patients. I was actually busier during COVID because these guys were sending me patients. But that was how I perceived it. I also acted. I did crazy videos. I did Netflix neck. I did laptop neck. I did get up off of that thing, dance, and you'll feel better. I had patients videotaping themselves getting off their couch and dancing. I did this crazy video, which is, hey, this is Dr. Panzica. Guess you're wondering why I'm in this containment suit. It's actually for 2 reasons. One is to draw your attention to watch this video, which I hopefully already did. Second reason is to make a point. The point is that all around us, there are germs and viruses. I went around my house and picked up different areas of the house and grew this bacteria in what's called a petri dish. A petri dish is filled with this gelatin that viruses and bacteria love to grow on. And these bacteria and viruses are all around us all the time. So why don't we get sick all the time? Why don't we have to run around with a suit like this all the time? And the reason is because we are living, breathing human beings that have an immune system that protects us from these. We are not dead gelatin. We have an ability to fight off infections and viruses, and I'm going to show you how. I did a bunch of others to show you how. So what I said is the mental game of chiropractic is how we think. Think was one of the ones. And BJ thought thinking was important. And this is a book that I bought when I was in Palmer. And it's called As a Man Thinketh, and it's got all the sayings that were on the walls in BJ's clinic and in the school to make chiropractors think positively. I always thought it was kind of weird that it said thinketh, because that's kind of a weird word, right? So I realized that actually is from the Bible. For as a man thinketh in his heart, so is he. And so BJ had these sayings. I'm going to read you a couple to you. So a winner never quits, a quitter never wins. Following the path of least resistance is what makes rivers and men crooked. So, and this was on stairs going up. Think, speak, and act positive. I am, I will, I can, I must. Remember Sid Williamson saying those things?
Yep.
And so these are all on the walls to encourage students, all right? So, and also I'll put this up here too, because in the Bible it talks about how we should think. Whatever is true, whatever is noble, whatever is right, whatever is pure, whatever is lovely, whatever is admirable. If anything is excellent, praiseworthy, think about such things. So I'm going to tell you about how important it is for thinking. And I'm going to use this book, which is called Switch on Your Brain. It's by Carolyn Leaf. She is a cognitive neuroscientist. She specializes in traumatic brain injuries and learning disabilities with people. Like people, when they said, oh, you have a brain injury, nothing can be done, well, they go to her and things would be done. She actually participated in the initial research on neuroplasticity. And I'm going to show you a video of neuroplasticity. It's going to explain it really easy.
Not so long ago, many scientists believed that the brain did not change after childhood, that it was hardwired and fixed by the time we became adults. But recent advances in only the last decade now tell us that this is simply not true. The brain can and does change throughout our lives. It is adaptable, like plastic. Hence, neuroscientists call this neuroplasticity. How does neuroplasticity work? If you think of your brain as a dynamic, connected power grid, there are billions of pathways or roads lighting up every time you think, feel, or do something. Some of these roads are well-travelled. These are our habits, our established ways of thinking, feeling, and doing. Every time we think in a certain way, practice a particular task, or feel a specific emotion, we strengthen this road. It becomes easier for our brains to travel this pathway. Say we think about something differently, learn a new task, or choose a different emotion. We start carving out a new road. If we keep travelling that road, our brains begin to use this pathway more, and this new way of thinking, feeling, or doing becomes second nature. The old pathway gets used less and weakens. This process of rewiring your brain by forming new connections and weakening old ones is neuroplasticity in action. The good news is that we all have the ability to learn and change by rewiring our brains. If you have ever changed a bad habit or thought about something differently, you have carved a new pathway in your brain and experienced neuroplasticity firsthand. With repeated and directed attention towards your desired change, you can rewire your brain.
So I'm going to show you, this is a video of actually neurons building dendrites to other neurons. Pretty cool. There's one that's going to connect to another one, and it's actually going to send information from one to the other. That's the one all the way up in the right-hand corner there. There it is. Pretty cool. And actually, that's right. So thoughts are real, physical things. They occupy mental real estate. Thoughts are active, they grow, they change the structure of the brain. Thoughts influence every decision, word, action, and physical reaction that we make. That's how important they are. Positive thoughts, love, peace, forgiveness, gratitude release biochemicals like endorphins and serotonin. We just heard that before, right? Negative thoughts, stress, anger, fear, anxiety release biochemicals like cortisol, and we know how bad that is for our bodies. So research shows that DNA actually changes shape in response to our thoughts. When I read this stuff, it was like, really? And actually, negative thoughts actually make the DNA strand tight and get shorter. And it actually changes some of the DNA codes. Good thoughts, love, joy, gratitude actually make the DNAs open up and relax. And so this is a picture of genes, and you're going to see the inside of the DNA coils. I just showed you that because it's kind of interesting. But there's we heard about this yesterday too, an epigenetic phenomena. Signals control the genes. We have a switch gene, it's called a Krebs gene. And it's stimulated by special proteins inside the cell. And these proteins can be stimulated by what? Our thoughts. That's what we're talking about. Our genetic makeup can fluctuate based on what we are thinking. Isn't that wild? So the gene myth is that we are victims of our biology. All right? And so this is like, oh, your father was an alcoholic, that's why you're an alcoholic, so there's no hope for you. That's why they'll tell people, oh, your mother had breast cancer, you're probably going to have breast cancer. I actually know somebody who had a double mastectomy, had no breast cancer, had double mastectomy as preventative care. And so what are we telling people? Well, we're not telling them this, but what's the world telling them about their genes? And they don't realize that we can have an effect just by our thoughts. So, if that doesn't blow your mind, how about this? This is a study in the 80s on psychophysiological phenomena in multi-personality disorders. So they took people with multiple personality disorders. This person, when they were in this head, they had allergies. When they were in a different person, they didn't have allergies. In this person, they needed glasses to see. In this person, they had 20/20 vision. Same person, same body, physiological changes by the brain. How important is that? And other things too. Paralysis, respiratory, gastrointestinal, menstrual irregularities. So wild stuff. So how can this information help us as chiropractors, as human beings, being parents, spouses, and friends? Well, that book that I showed you before, she has a 21-day thought detox program. I'm going to tell you one of the things, just to kind of give you an example. So an example is you have to catch your thought before it runs away. And so the best way I can think of this is like, if you have a 60-year-old man that get up in the middle of the night to go to the bathroom. So if you're not dreaming about something, you get up to go to the bathroom and you're just thinking, I gotta go to the bathroom. But if you let a thought come into your brain, for instance, like the other day, my cousin had called me and I forgot to call him back, and I said, and so I go back to bed and I'm thinking, I gotta call my cousin Vinny back. And then I think, wait a second, that son of a bitch borrowed money from me. I wonder if he's gonna want the money. And then I'm thinking, I hope he used to be a gambler. I hope he didn't go to Atlantic City and blow all my money. So I'm thinking all these negative things, right? And does anybody ever do that, think that way, and their whole thinking goes that way? And in reality, he calls me the next day and says, hey, listen, I want to have lunch, I got your money, I'm going to give it back to you. But we have 60,000 thoughts in a day. 90% of them are repetitive, and repetitive means that they're about the same thing. Like, so I was talking about my cousin Vinny, and I had like 4 or 5 different thoughts about him, okay? So 90% of them are repetitive, but here's the key, 80% are negative. And why are they negative? I believe they're negative because it's a self-protection program. Our brain is trying to tell us, if this happens, I need to be ready. Like it's actually taking that part. So anyway, how does this information help your patients? The medical model is negative. It's sick care, not health care. The body's stupid. The body needs drugs. The body works outside in. Doubt, worry, fear. We need to give patients hope. So there's a hope study where they did this in the 50s before PETA, and they put rats in water, and they saw how long they could swim before they were drowned. And they were drowned in 5 minutes. They took another group of rats and they put them in water, and they took them out in 4 minutes, and they let them rest a little while. Then they put them back in the water. And guess how long they swam for after they had that rest? Except Josh is not allowed to answer because he knows. How many? 12. 12? Anybody? 4. 60 hours. 2.5 days. Crazy, right? So it was a psychological study. You know what it's called? The hope study. Do you know what they came to the conclusion? When you give a rat hope that he's going to be rescued from the water, he can push his body for 60 hours. The original rats, they just like, I'm gonna die, and they gave up after 5 minutes. So my point is, how much more do we need to give hope to our patients, right? And just even hope for ourselves. So that's why I wrote that song, which is Hold On, You're Not Alone. It's not about rats, it's actually about people. It's on Spotify and Apple if you want to listen to it. I have cards also for it. So how do I give my patients hope? Well, I give them a lay lecture, and I show them this. And this is, oh shoot, no, that's not hard. Can you play that? 4 weeks to 5 weeks, 5 weeks to 6.5 weeks. Fingers, toes, eyes. What do you think I tell my patients when I show them that? The power that
made the body, heals the body.
That's what I tell them. Power that made the body, heals the body. And then I tell them, fingers and toes are nothing. Inside is the heart and the circulatory system. 60,000 miles of blood vessels are in a body. I said, how does that fit in our body? And they say, I don't know. And guess what I told them? I don't know either. I went to school and I don't know. I personally give the credit to God. But we have to give our patients hope and show them how amazing the human body is. So I had a patient come in, and she came in because she was a runner, and she couldn't run anymore because of her back. She goes to an orthopedic. The orthopedic tells her, you'll never run again. She goes in her car and she's crying because she loves running. So somebody told her to come into our office, and I told her, you will be able to run again. I showed her how amazing the human body was, and she just ran a half a marathon and came in 3rd place for her age group. Giving her hope. She's going to be running a marathon too. But that's the difference of our thoughts and putting those thoughts into our patients. Thoughts of hope are so important. So I came up with the statement, we've been using it all over our office. Never underestimate the healing power of the amazing body under chiropractic care. Never underestimate the healing power of the amazing body under chiropractic care. So BJ had an idea. What's an idea? An idea is a thought. So BJ said he had a thought that became an idea. That thought became the big idea. BJ's big idea is what helps to bring millions of people to health over these years since he was around. How can the big idea affect our world tomorrow? Well, BJ said it. He said, we never know how far-reaching something we may think, say, or do will affect the lives of tomorrow. Now, I don't know about you, but I kind of passed through the word think, and I thought, say or do, what we say here, what we do chiropractically is going to affect lives. But he said, think, say, or do. And what did he do first? He thought. He had the big idea. And so that's how important it is. So, my question is, what I explained to you today about thinking and how important it is, how's that going to affect your lives? How is that going to affect the lives of the people around you? How's that going to affect your patients? And so what BJ said that back then did affect millions of lives tomorrow, right? How many millions of people have been adjusted? And he had an idea, he had a thought. And so I passed that on to us. And BJ said, we have in our possession a sacred trust, guard it well. The word guard I didn't like because I kind of get that feeling of like protect it and don't give it to anybody. But protect it because it's important. And so I think a statement that I put in is we have a possession, a sacred trust, share it well to help mankind.
Yeah.
And I think that's our charge, is to what we know, to share it well to help mankind. Hey, I like to end with this piece, Love Chiropractic, and let's see if my song is on.
Dr.